Okay, so hi guys. So we're gonna do properties of logs in this video. Um, so yeah, this is properties of logarithms. There's a few properties of logs that that you do in algebra, and of course you do these when you do logarithmic equations. That's why I'm not doing logarithmic equations just yet. Um, but yeah, so basically there's the first one that is, it's called the product rule, and this is not to be confused with calculus, because I know in calculus you also do like the product rule, the quotient rule, and all that stuff, and this is logarithms. It is not calculus. So yeah, this is strictly algebra. So the product rule says that if I have a log base b of x and y, that means that I'm going to separate these into addition of logs. So I'm going to say log base b of x plus log base b of y, okay? Another one is the quotient rule, which is log base b of x over y. This just means that I'm going to subtract the x and y when I do the logarithm. So I'm going to say log base b of x minus the log base b of y. Do not confuse this with log base b of x minus y, because that's something different. So so please do not confuse it. It's going to be log of x minus log of y, and it's with the base, whatever base it gives you. Another one that I can remember, let's see, it was of x to the n equals n log base b of x. Yeah, so this is the power rule, and I'm going to label this quotient rule. So the power rule, this is what it says. I'm basically, when I'm doing this, I'm just moving it to the very front of my log, okay? That's what that means. You can also have log base b of x to the n equals n log base b of x. It really doesn't matter. You can turn this into log base b of x to the n equals n log base b of x. It's a little complicated to understand because, of course, you have to practice it. With every video that I make in this, it doesn't guarantee that you'll understand it right away, because, of course, in math you have to practice. But the more you practice, the more it's easier to understand. So we're gonna go over some examples. And there was also one more that I kind of forgot how to do, which is one that, is a little bit difficult to understand and a little bit difficult to memorize. And it is called the base formula, or I forgot what it was called. It's like the so give me a second. Okay, so log of a over log of b. This is the change of base formula. Okay, so this just means that when we have a log that is a little bit, and you can use this for any log. However, there are some logs that are easier to do with, with other rules. It just depends on what is given to you, basically. So, for example, yeah, so we can say that, for example, log base 5 of 3, that's going to be log of 3 over log of 5, okay? And so that's kind of how it works. Now, this is not to be confused with log of 3/5, because this is not equal to log of 3/5. This is not the same thing. Because log of 3/5 is its own number, and log of 3 over log of 5 is another number. Basically, with log of 3/5, you're taking the log of 3/5, like the whole fraction, and log of 3 over log of 5, you're evaluating log of 3, which is a decimal, and log of 5, which is another decimal. And I can prove this mathematically. Like, I can actually show you guys that it is not considered the same thing. So, for example, log of 3, that's approximately 0.4771213, and then log of 5, if you do log of 5, you have 0.69897, right? And when you do 0.4771213 divided by 0.69897, that's approximately equal to 0.6826063, okay? Now, if we do log of 3/5, or log of 3/5, that's another number, because, so log of 3/5, that's a negative number. This is equal to negative 0.2218487. So as you can see, these are not the same number. Okay. That is why you shouldn't confuse with, you shouldn't confuse these two, because these two are very different. And so, yeah, so these are the rules for logarithms, and you use these a lot in algebra whenever you do logarithmic equations. Now there are other rules, and this is where I kind of want to go over the natural log, because the natural log is another one. The natural log just means that, it just means that it is the inverse. I think it's the inverse of e to the x. Now, there are some things that you have to know. And also, there's one more rule that I forgot to go over, which is the constant rule. Log base b of a, or sorry, log base b of b, that's just 1. These two cancel out. So if I say log base 3 of 3, this is just 1. If I say 2 log base 6 of 6, this is just 2 times 1, which is 2, okay? That's the, I think it's the constant rule. I'm not sure, though. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's how it works. Now, the inverse, or the natural log, works a little bit differently. Ln of x is a little more different than than log. It just means that you are taking the inverse of e to the x, and basically y equals ln of x. Yeah, so they're basically inverses. I forgot the kind of the rule for inverse versus exponential. But basically, if, for example, I have e to the ln of 3, I can say ln of 3 times ln of e, and then that'll give me ln of 3. I think that's what it would be. So that's kind of, however, that's not what it equals. That's just whenever you're turning it into another form. That all goes with exponential equations using logs and logarithmic equations, which is something that I don't really want to go over in this video because that's just a whole nother concept. For example, let's just say that I have log of, let's just say that I have log of 30, okay? Even though I don't really know what that is, I can, I can do my very best in terms of simplifying it as much as I can. Now, this is, I can say, for example, this is log of 6 times 5, which is log of 6 times log of 5. And then, or sorry, log of 6 plus log of 5, excuse me. And you can do that and then simplify it and get an approximation. There are, once we get into exponential, or once we get into logarithmic equations, I will explain more of how to use these properties. But this was just an introduction of what the properties are and, kind of an example. But if you guys have any questions, please let me know. In the next video, I'm going to go over basically how to actually do logarithmic equations, and also how to do the, even with this function here, because I know that, there are definitely some that you have to do with this function. And so I'm going to do log equations basically in the next video, and then I will go ahead and also graph each one to show you that, it is considered just to show you how to graph them as well. So that is it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.